Here we go. We're back. Once again, UFC 327 in Miami. We got a stacked card. I'm once again rejoined by renowned UFC expert Shane. Welcome back to the show. How have you been? I think we missed you on the last card. How's your UFC experience been watching? Any, cool overarching storylines before we get into this card that you're really looking forward to?
I'm chilling. The fights have been great. I've been loving kind of my pastime, just kind of going back and rewatching fights and stuff on Paramount, having it be more accessible. Um, but in general, I think the fights have been great. That Alexa Grasso knockout was one of the craziest women's knockouts I've ever seen. Crazy knockouts I've ever seen, like insane. And so that was cool. There was a bunch of other, cool moments and everything. I'm excited for this next card.
I feel like top to bottom, this is one of the best, at least probably the best UFC card of the year, maybe so far at least. Maybe not as top heavy, but there's a lot of good fights, early prelims. So let's not waste any time and get right into this. So
Yes, sir.
we start the night off with, usually we have some random fighters, but we got Charles Radtke and Francisco Prado as the early prelim opener. Charles Radtke looking at minus 185 here. Prado plus 154. He's on a little bit of a losing streak. So I believe we have touched on Charles Radtke in the future. I think you were confident to take him to win over Mike Malott. I was a bit hesitant on that. So what do you think here in Miami? Opening fight, first fight of the early prelims.
I was pretty high on him in that one fight. This one, not so confident for sure. This one also, it's the first fight of the night, so I don't really like betting on this. But I wouldn't like betting on this either way. Charles Radtke, what he showed in that fight against Mike Malott was kind of underwhelming, in my opinion. So I think leaving this one alone is fine. But I would, if no money on the table, I would pick Prado for the upset.
Really? I was a little concerned looking at Prado's last couple of fights. On a little bit of a scale. I guess he's only 23 years old.
I
But
guess, yeah, it could be. It could be
I have to
something to build
say,
back
and
up
this is
Radtke.
gonna might come up again. He has a loss to Daniel Zellhuber, which is one of the most fastly aging, badly fighters to have lost to Daniel Zellhuber. I mean, after that performance against King Green, the one before that, he just has not looked great. So, three losses in a row. Yes, Jake Matthews is good. Daniel Zellhuber is him, but I don't know. I feel like I watched that Verenikov fight, and I was like, I had money on Prado. He kind of failed me there. So I'm going with Charles Radtke. I think he's got this. He's going to come back. He got a win after the Mike Malott fight, so he's back in the win column.
True.
I think this could be a potential. Francisco Prado's got to get cut from the UFC, maybe win a couple fights off promotion and then come back into the fight. The good thing about Prado, though, he's never been knocked out or submitted, so he's got a tough chin. I think Radtke wins maybe a 29-28, maybe even a split decision. Prado's been in a lot of close decisions, so I'm going to go with Charles Radtke points over on the rounds and money line. So I like this first fight. Usually, I have to say there's usually Dana White Contender Series guys and guys who are coming in their first fight in the UFC, but we've got a lot of vets on this card, and it continues with the next fight, middleweight Kelvin Gastelum and Vincente Luque. My question here is, do either of these guys still got it, in your opinion? Do you think there's a chance one of them makes a fluke run, gets a couple wins, not a fluke run, but like a good run, gets a couple wins here? Or do you think these guys are kind of just fighting their last couple fights before eventually retirement?
I think that they're both. I don't think either of them are going to go on a Dominick Reyes type run where they kind of resurge their career. But out of the two, I think Vincente Luque probably has the more gas in his tank. Kelvin Gastelum, this has got to be his retirement fight, and I feel like I've been saying this for like 3 fights now. I don't know. I don't like watching him fight recently. It's just been, I don't know, kind of sad because I really loved his fight against Izzy. That was like one of the first like cool fights that like fully stuck with me because I watched UFC again for a long time. I've probably brought this up to the fans before, but for a long time, just like as like a friend of people who watched it and like didn't really care about it, but it was always on in the background, and then started to kind of pay attention more and more. And that fight was definitely during the time when I started to lock in more on these fights, and that was a really cool fight. And I really liked him after that. And I still like him as like a guy. He's a cool personality and everything. But I don't know. His fights have been kind of sad.
Yeah, the Pfeiffer fight was really weird. I remember that one.
Yeah.
On that Merab, Merab O'Malley card. But I don't know. I think they're both 34, which is a little bit confusing because I feel like Vincente Luque, like talking about it in the past, it seems like he'd be a little bit older than that. And I think I'm going to go with Kelvin. Maybe it is his retirement fight. Maybe he just ends it out here. I feel like this is a weird fight, though, and another one that's probably going to go the distance. And I don't know. I just can't. I trusted Vincente Luque too much to beat Kevin Holland, and then he went out there and he kind of should have break. I'm playing to my emotions. I'm going off previous maybe transgressions, but I think Kelvin gets this done. He's a big favorite. I actually don't really like this number for Kelvin.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Minus 300. He was minus 250 last night. I think the public at the best just opened up for the public, so there's going to be money coming in all sorts of ways. I guess they like Kelvin early, but who knows what the line will be. But so far, almost minus 300 for Kelvin Gastelum, which is crazy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So would you take Vincente Luque plus 2?
I would definitely sprinkle in Vincente Luque, not because I trust Vincente Luque so much, but more so that I just trust that Kelvin Gastelum's kind of going to lose the fight himself. Yeah, like it's just been sad to watch because I really respect the guy. But
well, he's very off and on. Like I remember that there was like an Abu Dhabi card that he was fighting somebody a couple years ago, and he just like won the fight. And I was like, oh, that's easy money. And then the next one, he just like looks out there and like is running around, and it's like I don't know. Like that Pfeiffer fight is hard to get out of my head, where he's just like running around, not doing much. Anyways, We'll move on. Lightweight, one of the very stacked divisions in the UFC. I can't say I have the most knowledge on either of these two guys. We have Chris Padilla and Marquel Mederos. So both sort of recent UFC guys. Chris Padilla joining in 2024, Marquel Mederos joining in 2023. This one for me is one that I think I'm just going to stay away from. Both kind of prospects. Neither of them have actually lost in the UFC, I believe. So interested to see what you have to say about this one. Looks like Chris Padilla, the slight favorite here at minus 155. I think this one will be a fun one to watch with just nothing on the line. But what's your take on this fight?
I agree. I think this one will be a fun one to watch if you have nothing on the line. But if we're looking strictly off wins, and again, MMA math doesn't always work out, I think Chris Padilla really has some really good wins in there for an up-and-comer. Like, he has I just closed it, but he has Rongju, he has Jai Herbert, Ismail Bonfim, James Yontop isn't, that one's kind of mid, but the other three, like, those are pretty good wins. I think I would throw Padilla in a parlay. I like this pick a lot.
I'm trying to stay, I feel like we talked about this, maybe this is starting this year, but I'm trying to stay away from MMA math, because I feel like Marquel Mederos, all of a sudden, he just pulls off some crazy shit. So
you're definitely wrong.
And I think I got a lot of there's a lot of actually close fights in this card between close odds. So, but I do like some favorites moving forward, which maybe teases coming up. But all right, our first and only women's fight. Wrong button there. Tatiana Suarez on the early prelims, I believe, the number 2 contender. Last time we saw her was against your favorite women's fighter, I think it's safe to say. Zhang Weili. Where's she at, by the way? Is anything that works for her?
She's chilling. She's meditating in the mountains or some shit. Probably filming some TikTok or not TikToks. What are they called? I forget. But filming videos all the time. Freaking chilling, doing her thing, picking up shit.
Like the top of the champs of the women's. I mean, Kayla had to pull out of that one fight, and then we haven't seen Valentina. We haven't seen.
Yeah, they both took a really long. They're both about to take a really long break. I feel like Valentina's going to come back.
Hasn't fought on her belt.
Yeah, exactly my point. I think Mackenzie Dern, actually, unless Zhang Weili comes back to beat Mackenzie, which would be so cool. But I don't think she doesn't have a interim belt, right? It's just a straight up. I think it's just
real. Because I think Zhang Weili vacated.
Yeah, I think. So then. Yeah, I think there's probably going to end up being another defense at strawweight before. Actually, this fight kind of makes it tough because if Tatiana Suarez wins and it's Mackenzie Dern and Tatiana Suarez, that's a great fight to make. And then the only issue is that flyweight because you don't really want Alexa Grasso to fight Valentina for a fourth time. However, it kind of makes sense because they drew and then won. So
how many times have people fought 4 times? I think it's only
Figgy
and Moreno.
And Volk and Max were going to fight for a fourth time, but they didn't. Not officially, but it was rumored. I don't know. Maybe I think that's really the only one.
Alex are 3, right? I don't know. Anyways, we got.
Well, Izzy and Alex are 3 and then 2 in kickboxing.
Okay.
No, wait, they're only 2 in the UFC and then 3 in kickboxing. They fought each other 5 times.
Okay, 5 times. There you go. Well, back to this fight, Tatiana Suarez. Obviously, I think it's safe to say it was a very lackluster performance against Zhang Weili, but I think you're a good person to ask. Is Zhang Weili just that much levels above everybody else where there's not really anybody who could compete with her in this division? Do you like her chances in this one against Loopy?
I'm good to ask. I'm a good person to ask. However, she's also one of my favorites, so I do feel like I look at her with rose-tinted goggles, which I try to always separate, but it's hard, especially with Merab when he was on that run it was hard. Same with Zhang Weili when she was on her run, and it's tough to say because I really think throughout that whole fight live when I was watching it, it was just Zhang Weili's too good. Every time Tatiana Suarez tried something, because it wasn't like Tatiana Suarez gave up and just wasn't trying. She kept on trying. It's just Zhang Weili just had the answers. And it was a really good fight for Zhang. And I think she's just is levels above this division. I think her versus Mackenzie Dern is going to be a wash. And I think Tatiana Suarez is the number 2, the number 1 contender. I think her versus Mackenzie Dern, Tatiana Suarez wins. And maybe I'm crazy for that, but I think so. And then I think just her versus, it's just like a Max Holloway Volk situation, I think. Or John Jones DC, something like that.
So what do you think makes the odds so close here? Is it just Tatiana got blown out by Zhang Weili, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't believe in Tatiana Suarez's ability, but I really do. Loopy is a great up and comer. If she does pull this off, this is huge for both the division and for just both the division and her, because it'll skyrocket her. However, she has already lost to Mackenzie Dern, which I thought so, and then looking back at it, she has, and she's not really an up and comer. I don't know what. She's been fighting in the UFC since 2021. She just seems young to me. But I think, I think Tatiana Suarez is better than Loopy. I have no idea why the odds are this close. This is good money for Tatiana against anyone that isn't Zhang Weili.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna overlook that. I really like Tatiana in this one. Classic, decision. I think -350. It's a little bit high of a number, but we're gonna throw that in there as well. I think Tatiana might be one of my favorite picks on this card. I think that fight was almost a year ago, right? The Zhang Weili. Yeah,
and she's fought since then and won. She beat Amanda Lemos.
Yeah, and Lemos is she puts up a fight, so I like that. And I'm not looking at Loopy's resume and seeing someone that's Tabitha Ritchie's a decent win, but I'm not oh my God, Loopy's gonna come and just beat her. So we'll see. I think Suarez got this though. And correction, I said earlier prelims is the first fight on the actual regular prelims. So there you go.
Still though, kind of crazy.
Yeah, pretty far down on the card, but this card is pretty stacked from top to bottom, like I was mentioning before. So continuing on, we go back to the lightweight division. Gamrot is back in the fight scene here, facing off against Esteban Ribovics. So Ribovics, another one of those Daniel Zellhuber merchants, unfortunately. So I really like Gamrot on this one. I think this is way too far of a step up for Ribovics just at this point in time. And I know lightweight's kind of a weird division to make fights because there's just so much going on and there's a lot of prospects and there's the guys in the rankings. Some of them won't move out of the rankings. But I think Gamrot has earned his spot in the rankings. And I don't know. The loss to Charles, obviously we saw Charles just completely dominate Max, so I'm not putting too much stock into that. And I don't know. I'm not trust. I liked Ribovics when he beat Zellhuber, but I don't know. I think this is too far of a step up for him. Where we've seen guys like Hoofy go in there and then lose his first couple in the rankings, have to kind of earn his way back. So I think this is an easy one for Gamrot. I think he gets it by decision. But what do you think about this one, Ribovics and Gamrot?
I think this is a great one for a single line, and that's Ribovics KO. I have really not been Gamrot gets caught so much. Like in almost all of his fights that I see, he gets caught so badly. And I feel like Ribovics I think that all he has to do is be able to withstand the grappling, which, to be fair, we don't know if he can. But I think on the feet, Ribovics wins, and I think Gamrot isn't that much of a step up. Like I don't think I think that his number is a bit high. I think Gamrot's number is a bit high, and maybe I'm just a hater, but he's someone that I would I've been personally thinking about betting against in his next fight every time I watch him, and this just so happens to be his next fight.
Fair, and he has the loss to Dan Hooker. I thought he won that fight, but maybe it was because I had money on him. But that was kind of a rough showing there. Had a good performance against Klein, but then submitted against Charles. So kind of a mixed bag with Gamrot. I see where you're coming from. I think the 8 number is a little too high. Maybe they're trying to get him out of there. And to think like Ribovics wins this fight, he's number 8 or so in the lightweight division. I feel like that's insane.
I think he'll be adjusted. Yeah, I think he'll probably come in at be like 10, and then they'll move 11 some people
or
up.
Something like that. Yeah. All right. So a little bit of difference in opinion there. Really curious to hear your thoughts on this one. One that seemingly always.
Jesus Christ. That's got to be a typo.
Hold, please.
I was like, hammer that.
So we got Kevin Holland, only plus 102, not plus 1,020, facing off against Randy Brown. So Kevin Holland is somebody that I go back and forth with, and can never know when to pick him, when not to pick him. I always seem to be on the wrong side. So I'll leave this one to you first. We have Randy Brown facing off against him. He was at UFC 310, lost to Brian Battle, now to the UFC. Pretty boring fight, held up against the cage there. And then he goes on to KO Nicholas Dalby, which, decent win, and now is knocked out by Bonfim. So all over the place, just like Kevin Holland. These guys are kind of in the same sort of space in this division, but curious to hear what you have to say. Kevin Holland and Randy Brown doing work this Saturday. Who do you got?
It's just it's nothing personal, Kevin Holland. I just always if anything, it actually is completely personal. I always ride with him. I always throw the bet on because it's fun to root for Kevin Holland. It's not fun to root against him. And it's just win or lose, it's always more fun to root for him. I don't think, and again, Randy Brown, it's not like who did he fight before this? Was it oh my goodness, when he fought hold Daniel Rodriguez, or even Blaydes, when he fought Blaydes or the Ritter, all those guys, I was like, ooh, that's a little tough. I think other than RDR, I think I still bet on him though, just because it's fun to bet with Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm back in Team Kevin. He has a trend in his career where he loses a couple, then he wins one, then he loses a couple, and he wins one, just to kind of keep. Maybe it's just because he fights so much that he's just bound to win a couple fights, just due to the nature of it. He did look terrible. In comparison, I thought he was going to whoop Daniel Rodriguez's ass. Looked bad in that one. I don't specifically remember the Mike Malott fight, but that's 2 losses in a row. I don't see Kevin Holland losing
more of the same. It was more of the same. And Randy Brown, I think, is going to play more into the Kevin Holland game, whereas Mike Malott and Daniel Rodriguez didn't really play into the Kevin Holland kind of game of just being more of a showman. Like the Mike Malott and the Daniel Rodriguez fight were kind of, if I remember correctly, more grapple heavy. And not that Kevin Holland's a bad grappler at all. He's a BJJ black belt. But I mean, these are the best guys in the world in MMA. So, and it's in a cage where anything can happen. So I think Randy Brown's going to stand and bang a lot more with Kevin Holland, and then Kevin Holland's going to be able to be more in control as the more lead grappler instead of being more on the defensive end of grappling.
So you think Kevin Holland by decision, or do you think you can get pull like a submission, maybe a ground and pound situation?
Kevin Holland by money line.
I agree.
Because he can win it anyway. He might sub the guy. He might knock him out. He might win by a split decision or decision.
It could go anyway. I agree. But Kevin Holland, slight underdog, plus 102 right now on DraftKings. So there you go. Little underdog play.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go with a fight you'd expect to see in, what is it, Bellator a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Patricio.
Yawn.
And Aaron. Oh, you don't like this. And Aaron.
No, it's not that I don't like it. It's just, I don't know. It's funny. It's funny to be
prelim bout.
Yeah. I feel like Dana does that shit on purpose. He's like, this is our feature prelim bout, and this would have been your guys' big moneymaker fight of the year. Bellator.
Yeah, so I keep saying a big, I think it's PFL ad on like on Disney Plus. But we have it here: Patricio Pitbull and Aaron Pico. I believe we talked about both these guys in our past videos. Patricio Pitbull surprised me with the performance over Dan Ige. I will say, Dan Ige got knocked out versus Melquist Alcasta. He's just a rising prospect. I'm not going to put too much into that. But in this specific fight, Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull is very boring fight. I remember Dan not really having much to provide in return to Pitbull. And I feel like there was a run there where it was Pitbull, Patchy Mix, and somebody else. Because I won't say this for Pico, because Pico was actually winning that round against Lerone Murphy, I believe, before he caught the spinning elbow on his first UFC fight. But it seemed like Patricio was just getting himself kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, like adjusted to the ring when he lost to Yair. And then he goes and kind of does this thing against Dan, although it was a little bit boring, not too much output. He definitely did win that fight, so I give him props for that. And then Pico was winning the first round, just caught a nasty elbow. Obviously, Lerone sends himself into a title shot. And you can say, I think maybe we were even questioning at the time, is this too much of a jump for Aaron Pico in his first UFC fight to go against one of the top contenders at the featherweight division? Yeah, so definitely. What do you think these two guys, Patricio Pitbull and Pico, they do battle in the UFC on the featured prelim in Miami. Pico, a big favorite right now, minus 305. Came down a little bit. He was minus 340 yesterday. A lot of line movement, I think, as they opened this up. But any insight for this one, or is just one you're going to watch for enjoyment?
Again, another person whose chin is one that I really don't trust, even more than Gamrot. Pico is like Pitbull himself has been saying even in the lead up, and Pitbull himself said how much of a glass chin Pico has, and then Pico was like, "Yeah, I have a glass chin, but you're not going to hit it." And it's like, well, I mean,
that doesn't give me confidence.
Yeah, he's probably going to hit it. You guys are in the ring, so or in the octagon, so it's like, I think this is a crazy great value for Patricio Pitbull.
Really?
Yeah. And maybe I'm crazy because I didn't watch these guys much in Bellator, but yeah, I like Pitbull here by boring decision, or maybe
I'm going with maybe a little bit of something bad that I shouldn't do, but I'm going with the Patchy Mix method of, I think Pico's going to get it back together this fight. He's going to win this easily, and we're going to see. He's 29. Okay, Patricio Pitbull is 38. I think we kind of mentioned that on Patricio's first fight. He's kind of out of this thing. He's fully fading out. The fact that he's ranked is pretty surprising. I think
Michael Chandler situation.
Yeah, I think Pico gets in there. I don't know how he does it. Maybe like a 29, 28. Maybe it's close. Maybe this is a really boring fight, grappling. But I think Pico wins this. He's just got to. I'm not sure if Patricio has that knockout power at the age 38 that I don't even know. I haven't watched Bellator, so I'm not going to pretend like I know much about these guys. But I think Pico gets back into it. And if he loses this one, when I bet on him, he's done until further notice, until he wins again. So that's where I'm going with Pico, kind of a make or break situation. I think he wins this one. If he doesn't, I'm fading until further notice. All right. Well, we got through the prelims pretty fast. It's time for the main card. The Swan Song of Cub Swanson, his retirement fight here in Miami. Arguable that you could have put this a little bit lower on the card, but I'm gonna you here to tell us the legacy of Cub Swanson and give him a little bit of a, maybe we didn't have the nicest things to say about Anthony Smith when he retired. Chaser retired too.
And I met the guy, so I should have talked really nice about him, and then I could have shown him this clip of me, like, hey, look, I stood up for you, but I couldn't show him that clip.
So your thoughts on Cub Swanson's legacy here? Anything you want to say for his contributions to the UFC? Gets a main card spot in his last bout.
I mean, holy journeyman. He is 1 year away from fighting for 20 years in the UFC. His first fight was in the WEC. First fight was in 2007. First fight in the UFC was 2011. But in that kind of family for so long, and like had a couple tough runs, but they were against pretty great opponents. Like he had a 4-loss streak, but against people like Moicano, Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega, really young Moicano, 2018. But it's been cool to see him still fight, but he's gonna have a really cool retirement package, and I feel like a lot of people are going to see just how intertwined he is with so many legends at featherweight, and I think he also was at lightweight too. I might be tripping, or not lightweight, bantam maybe. Well, regardless, he like people like people like Max Holloway, people like like Brian Ortega, and all these legends and stuff. He's just a cool guy and an unk. So it's gonna be cool to see him retire. He's gonna have a cool package. I don't believe. Yeah, I'll bet on him, especially because he's an underdog, and it's
plus 100. Nate Landwehr kind of sucks.
Yeah, Nate Landwehr is kind of on fraud watch. I would love to see him win because Nate's got a really cool personality, and he's fun when he's on the mic, but he is kind of on fraud watch. But maybe the guys he's been fighting have just been really good. So you never know.
Yeah, this is one that the retirement sentiments and everything going on with that, 42 versus 37. I think I'm good betting this one. I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. Cub Swanson hasn't fought since December of 2024, so I missed out on the whole 2025 calendar year, and then we're 4 months into this year. So one last rodeo for Cub Swanson. I hope he wins, but I'm not going to bet on it. And I don't know. Nate Landwehr is a weird guy to bet on, I feel like. So
that's a good idea.
Hope this is a good one at featherweight. Actually, I hope Cub wins, but I don't know if I'm confident enough to bet on it. So thank you for your contributions to the sport, Cub Swanson.
Yes, sir. And watch the package. Watch the retirement. Watch Cub's
retirement package will be good depending on where I am. I'll pay attention. If the audio is like background, I have to actually sidebar about the last time I was watching UFC. It was at Buffalo Wild Wings.
You can't do it, bro.
There's a very drunk individual just screaming Oliveira. He's like, Oliveira, after everything he would do. It kind of ruined the experience. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we stay at home for this one.
That's the best part about the Paramount era, I think. Which, again, is probably shows more about me than about, about what everyone else might not like it. But I just love the fact that we can just kind of stay home. Hey, maybe I accidentally felt, because I work really early mornings, so sometimes I fall asleep a little bit early. And then I can just watch the whole card start to finish. Don't check my phone. Don't get any spoilers. Just watch the whole card start to finish. And I did that once. It was for that Volk Lopez fight. But yeah, I've been liking the Paramount era because you get to kind of hone in on these kind of things. I just hope that they start doing more with that and better quality, because some of their streams have still been bad. But
the actual streams, or when you go back and watch those fights?
The streams, like there have been some audio mess ups and stuff, like boring nerdy stuff, just like like audio mess ups or production issues. But that also could just be more on the UFC, less on Paramount, or vice versa.
Yeah, every time they get in a press conference, Dan is hesitant to blame anything on Paramount. He's just like, we run the promotions, blah, 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 blah. But who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good one there. Hope, what are we rooting for? Like a Cub knockouts? What's Cubs like signature?
A Cubs signature is bloody, like a bloody tough 3-round fight where he probably lost the first round, and he probably lost the first like minute and a half of the second round, and he needs just to pull some shit out of his ass.
He just starts,
and that's where it comes from.
All right, I'm rooting for that. Let's go, Cub. Okay, another one that should be really interesting. Light heavyweight. We got Dominick Reyes and Johnny Walker. Obviously, Dominick Reyes, I believe, fought at the last Miami card a year ago, I think, against Krylov. Got the quick knockout there, maybe surprised some people. There are a lot of Dominick Reyes truthers out there. Very rough performance after that, going against somebody in the main card, Carlos Ulberg. So here he goes against another very odd fighter to really take in and digest, Johnny Walker. So what are we doing here? Johnny Walker and Dominick Reyes.
This is going to be a beautiful fight. If you love silliness, this is going to
define your definition of beautiful.
Exactly what I said. If you love silliness, this is your fight. This is going to be a Looney Tunes. What the, like, you're going to be screaming at your TV the whole time, start to finish. There's going to be Johnny Walker's going to do something silly. Dominick Reyes is going to do something a little bit off, or maybe they're both going to get caught in a double knockout. But I truly believe in Dominick Reyes. I think Dominick Reyes, all jokes aside, will probably be pretty dominant here. And this is a favorite that I'm pretty confident to bet on. Johnny Walker, I've been out on for a while now.
I feel like Johnny Walker would be an impossible person to bet on.
Yeah, but there's a time,
bet
man.
Against him. He beat Sangman Yang. I remember in that. I think that was like the main card of a China card. Our main fight of a China card.
Oh yeah, yep. But there's a time, and this come up, people were like, Johnny Walker might beat John Jones, and we laugh at it now.
Yeah, I think Dominick Reyes. I'm a Reyes supporter. He beat John Jones. That's actually like an insane fact. I think that's like his only decision fight that he's ever had go the distance. So he's actually when I think of Dominick Reyes, I don't think of like a crazy knockout or like submission fun fighter, but he is. Like he is. It's always ends super early. And this one for sure, I don't think this one's making it to the second or to the third round. Definitely not under 1.5. Already minus 215, but we're gonna take that. And Reyes money line. I mean, it's kind of a choose your adventure here. Him with almost minus 142, but I like that number for Dominick Reyes. It's not too high, so I'm with you. Good value on Dominick Reyes. And I just couldn't imagine possibly betting on Johnny Walker and like being confident for like 3 consecutive seconds of the fight. That'd be insane.
It's gonna be goofy. It's a Johnny Walker fight, and Dominick Reyes has something to prove.
Very tough loss to Ulberg.
Yeah, and there's a chance that Ulberg becomes the champion that night, which we'll go into that later. But, this is huge. This is huge for the division, kind of, because if Johnny Walker wins, I don't think the UFC is really going to do anything with that. But if Dominick Reyes wins, I have a feeling they're going to be pushing that narrative again of him being on a second run.
One last title, one last shot, maybe a title run. I think he's like 36 or 37 or something. That's not too bad of an age. All right. Well, this next one I think is the most interesting fight of the card because I hate these types of fights where let's just throw Josh Hokit in there against the number 5 ranked heavyweight, and good for him. He gets this fight, and the odds are indicating this is going to be a close one. Curtis Blaydes. You're seemingly, a little bit confused.
Yeah, have you seen the promotion that Josh Hokit has been doing for this fight?
I have not.
The recent stuff. I think it was Media Day, maybe today. All these clips that I saw, but he's starting to get a little annoying. May I say it, MMA fans? It's starting to get like over the top WWE, like too much WWE, with how much he's like screaming into the mic, like it's insane. You need to watch it. Like It really made me not like him. And I love Curtis Blaydes anyways. American wrestler.
He streams too, right?
Yeah, he streams too. He's a gamer. He's got a studder. He's cool, man. I like that guy. And I don't know. I liked Josh Hokit for the heavyweight division. I still do. I think polarizing people are still good for the division as well.
Heavyweight, it's like if you have a pulse, you can get a top 10 fight within like 2 fights.
Oh, true. Yeah, exactly. And the heavyweight division, exactly what I was. Yeah, heavyweight division needs it more than anything. So I don't hate him at all for the division. I just don't really want to see him win. I would love to see Curtis Blaydes put on a dominant performance here. That being said, it's heavyweight, so I'm not super confident. But I would personally, I'm probably going to put Curtis Blaydes in a parlay.
I hate this one from a money line perspective. I'm going to go with under 1.5 plus 150, and I guess it's bad. The only thing that could be bad is it just turns into like for exaggeration point, like a Tai Tuivasa versus Teixeira, where it just like is completely ugly and it's heavyweights like doing nothing.
It's going to be a wrestle off. I don't know if under 1.5 is a good idea. I don't think this one's going to be.
Maybe I just don't touch this fight then. Yeah, I feel like I try and overstep sometimes. So
yeah, I think this one's going to be a wrestle off for sure. Because you're two wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a tough one to watch. I don't.
Oh, you're frozen. Uh-oh.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I'm back. I was talking about last week. I had that same sort of mindset with the Izzy and Piper fight. It's like Piper's moving up pretty fast. Is Izzy done? Like, Blaydes isn't that old or like really close to being done in his career, but I don't know.
It's heavyweight.
Yeah, he's had his last couple of fights have been shaky. Got taken out of there by Aspinall, and granted, Aspinall is like the best heavyweight in the world by far. And then that win over Kuniev, I remember I didn't watch that one, but I remember people were a little bit upset with that decision. So I'm a little curious where Curtis Blaydes is at with his career. He's a decent fighter, so he's number 5 in heavyweight. It's not that hard to beat, like super highly ranked in heavyweight. But is this just a Hokit? Is Hokit just going to be one of those fast movers? So all of a sudden now he's number 8 after winning this fight, and he gets a fight against like I don't know if I could know who's that guy, like Spivak or one of those guys, and then just keeps moving up. I don't know. I think if the UFC had their choice, I think Hokit wins this fight. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. If the UFC had their choice, Hokit wins this fight, and then Hokit calls out Volkov or something. Because like, if he beats Curtis Blaydes, I mean, I don't know who they're really going to put above him other than the people that are already above Curtis Blaydes, which I believe are Volkov, Gane.
Jailton got cut.
And I don't even think he was – I think he was at the end of the –
He was like, yeah, maybe top 10. I'm pulling up the rankings right now. All right, so let's say Josh Hokit wins. You put him – I know Volkov's booked against somebody. But do you put Josh Hokit against Pavlovich? Waldo is number 4. I think it's Waldo and Volkov, right? Is that the fight that's booked?
Yeah, Waldo and Volkov's booked. I don't think
booked. Aspinall's out. So it'd be Pavlovich, or does he have a fight?
It would have to be Pavlovich. And I like that fight. Scary one for Hokit. But again, we're talking too far ahead of ourselves. We got to see how this fight turns out first.
Yep. And what about for Blaydes? Does the winner just get Pavlovich?
Blaydes, I think you can kind of do a little bit more with, because no, Blaydes would probably have to beat a Pavlovich or a
the loser, like Volkov, Acosta, or the loser.
Yeah.
Gone. All right. Well, at least the top couple of 5 there, and the UFC is interesting. And I could also see Hokit losing this and then still being in the top 15, just because, I mean, you get down there, it's Talish and Teixeira, Mick Parkin, I mean, Walter Walker is like decent, but it's looking. Derek Lewis is number 8, and after that performance we last saw, he's got to get out of there. Anyways, we were supposed to have a co-main event of Joshua Van and Tyra. Looks like we're going to get that one on the next UFC card, which will be super fun to talk about with Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev, probably one of the lead-ups, press conferences ever, blah, blah, blah. We'll save that for next time.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, we got this one vaulted into the co-main event of the evening. Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa, who is somehow ranked at light heavyweight. I don't know if this is his middleweight ranking. Maybe I put this wrong, but this is from the UFC website, so who knows. But Azamat Murzakanov, minus 192, sort of almost or pretty much a minus 200 favorite against Paulo Costa. Costa is somebody that I am not really confident on just moving forward. So I'm going to go with Azamat Murzakanov. I really like Murzakanov to win this one. I do think Costa does have a pretty decent chin, and Murzakanov isn't going to go all out to get the knockout. Like, if the finish is there, he'll go for it. But I think Murzakanov wins this, maybe even 30-27. I think it's going to be a rough time at light heavyweight for Paulo Costa just on his first fight here. But curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Paulo Costa and Murzakanov in our co-main event of the evening.
First off, that is his middleweight rank, okay. And they just
makes sense. They'd put he's number 14 ranked, but it's middleweight. And
oh yeah, because usually do the MW, and that, they do it with Michael Venom Page and Kevin Holland all the time, where they'll be fighting at a different weight, and then they'll put the middleweight MW or welterweight WW,
they do that,
and then next to the ranking. But yeah, this is pretty tough to pick. I think I'm going to be just more interested watching this fight because Paulo Costa has always been someone that has killed himself to make middleweight. And by kill himself, I mean take steroids.
Drinking wine the night before, whatever that fight was.
The Izzy fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of betting on this because it's his first time at light heavyweight. And Azamat isn't no slouch. He's pretty good. He's beaten Rakic and who else did I see in there? Also Ribeiro and Alonzo Menafield. These are pretty decent wins. They're not terrible wins. And I don't think Paulo Costa was that dominant at middleweight.
I look at Paulo Costa's last 6 fights, and his 2 wins are against Luke Rockhold in 2022, which, what was he, 40 at that point? And Roman Kopylov, who we had that fight, him versus, MMA math a little bit there, but him versus RoboCop was really not competitive. Him versus Paulo Costa, yes, Paulo Costa beat him, but that wasn't really competitive either. So kind of like a Daniel Hooper situation almost, where I'm kind of out on Kopylov as a decent win at this point. So I'm just kind of fading Costa in terms of that. He hasn't looked great ever since they lost it. And then maybe that's a momentum thing, and maybe this division change will help him out with that. But I really like Murzakanov and watching him fight. So I think he gets this one done. But I see your point. This will be interesting because Paulo Costa could a lot of potential for people to just boost themselves up into the rankings in this one, in this card in general. So your final analysis is just
I'm not betting on it just because I don't fully trust that we're going to see the same Paulo Costa we've seen for the past few fights.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Light heavyweight, I think, is such a big jump. It's 205. It's 185 to 205, and that's a decent amount of weight to just not have to cut and to build up in muscle over time, which you already pretty much had. He had one of the craziest BMIs for middleweight. So I think. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good move up for him. This is, I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm excited to not have money on this one.
And so I feel like, every UFC fight, you can always take your notes and learn a couple of things. So this will be an interesting fight to learn how Paulo Costa will potentially perform at light heavyweight. All right. Speaking of light heavyweight, maybe they boosted that one up in case one of these guys can't go, as one of these people have been on Aiden Ross's streams playing basketball and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. But our title fight is Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Obviously, Pereira vacates the title, and Jiri has been waiting because he just couldn't beat Pereira in either of those 2 fights. Only 2 UFC losses are to Alex Pereira. Carlos Ulberg comes in on a little bit of a streak of his own, although I will say a little bit questionable. That win over Jan, I'm not sure if he really won that fight, but maybe we can discuss that a little further. My question is this, right? And I don't know, this definitely affects some other sports like football and basketball, but who in their right mind is going to be willing to sit down on their phone or go to a machine and put in a bet slip for Carlos Ulberg? I just don't see, I don't know anybody who's actually doing that. I haven't heard anybody picking Ulberg. I haven't watched a lot of picks for this fight. But I feel like if you're going to bet Jiri, bet him now because the public's going to hammer Jiri, and this is going to get down to like minus 150 by the time of fight night. But obviously, I love Jiri, and I'm betting with him too. Okay, he's one of my favorite UFC fighters. You have to, because he's like the reverse Johnny Walker almost, if that even makes sense. Like, yeah, he does crazy stuff. And I remember, I think it was either the Hill fight or the Roundtree fight. He just didn't have his hands up. I think it was a Roundtree fight for 2 rounds. Did have an injury in the foot. You could kind of tell that, and then just kind of pulled a rabbit out of his ass to win that fight. But it's Jiri, and it's hype when he does it. I remember that was probably the most exciting moment of my Buffalo Wild Wings watching experience in general when he pulled that one off. So I'm backing Jiri Prochazka. It's a hard overhead and even a little bit of head over it too, because I do think Ulberg is a little bit of a fraud at this point. But I'm going with Jiri. Curious to hear your thoughts if you're riding with Jiri or you think Ulberg can pull this out and it would be a close fight. Also, we should discuss how we think this fight's going to go in terms of finishing our decision. But what do you got on this one?
So I really think Ulberg has been someone that the UFC has been trying to build up for a long time as someone, because I feel like they thought that Alex Pereira was going to stay out like heavyweight for a little bit longer. They were like, we need someone to fight Alex Pereira that isn't Jiri, Jamal, or Khalil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they were really building him up to do that. And I think this is a lot of people still having that kind of taste in their mouth of this is Carlos Ulberg, the guy who's supposed to come up and take the belt. And I think this is really just casuals as to why the line is like this, because they just see they're doing MMA math where they're like, Carlos Ulberg was supposed to be this guy built up to beat Alex Pereira. I never thought he was really going to be that. I just thought it was someone new for Alex Pereira to fight, but someone who was going to beat Alex Pereira, or at least fight against him, against someone who lost Alex Pereira twice. And I think people just kind of have that in their minds for some reason. That being said, I'm obviously going Jiri, but I agree. I don't really know how that line is real. At him at minus 102, but he's only going to become more and more of a dog, I could imagine. But we'll see.
The public's going to be all over Jiri. I mean, Jiri is one of the more popular, I feel like, top 10 fighters right now.
I do also think Carlos Ulberg is like extremely popular outside of the U.S. Like Australia, he's like
strong. They're probably like this. They're a pretty strong UFC fan base. Probably
they're like second biggest, really, or
second biggest. Okay.
Well,
I don't know. I was going to think like
probably fourth or fifth, maybe, but
they try to build up Mexico, and I'm not sure how much is really there. And then Canada is like,
Those are definitely, well, you just also have to think of how many people are in Australia, and then how many people are getting.
So
there's just more people to catch into there's more people to catch into the net.
There's somebody talking about, I forget who was saying, but it was like when the Australians go to bet their guys, like they move the money line by themselves. Maybe it's the Australians betting on Ulberg moving this one down.
That's legitimately what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm
legitimately thinking that.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe this one stays close to even. We can get Jiri at like minus 110, minus 115, something like that. I mean, I'm down for it. I'm going to be betting.
Let's get Jiri as a dog, guys. Let's all make money. Come on, Aussies.
They might come in. I think they come in like 3 days before. We'll see. We're filming this on Wednesday night, but who knows? How do you think this fight ends? Do you think? I think there's no way this goes 5 rounds.
You think so?
I think it goes. I think Jiri. I have actually a fun one for you. You know, we like to make some pretty big calls. I feel like at least one of us has a long shot. Here's my one for this one: Jiri Prochazka in the 4th round plus 1400. I feel like he's someone who, as the fight goes along, maybe he learns things, gets a little bit stronger. He's not going to gas out. He's been through the championship rounds. Ulberg has not been to a 4 or 5 round fight, I believe, so far. I guess he was scheduled against Dominick Reyes, but obviously didn't get there. I think maybe Ulberg starts to gas out a little bit, maybe makes a mistake. And Ulberg got knocked out by Kennedy Nzechukwu, which is crazy, in 2021. I mean, granted, it's a long time ago, but
yeah,
I think maybe he gets a little bit gassed, and this is a theory I buy into. If the first championship fight is a little bit tough in those championship rounds, well, Jiri is just a friggin' animal who knows what's going to happen. So that's my long shot, is Jiri in the 4th round. How he does it, I don't know. If he slips a submission, gets the knockout, I don't know. But I think Jiri in the 4th round is my bold prediction for this one.
I really like that. and I kind of see the same sort of vision. And I think what I'm gonna do is kind of have a wider net. I see a Jiri sub win here. I see him winning by submission here for
I
some
like that.
reason. I'm getting the visions of the Clover Textera win, where he was just all but
That was in my mind too.
it
Yeah.
was a bloody mess of a fight, but Jiri was dominating kind of the whole time, and just was like piecing him up, but then still like going to the ground, or like Textera would bring him to the ground, and then he would get right on top of him, and oh my goodness. I have that same finish just in the back of my mind for this, and I like the fourth round call. I think I'm gonna have a wider range here though and go with the submission, and maybe going for the all three, the danger one, going for Jiri by submission in the fourth round. Somebody out there if you want. That's
Jiri by sub plus 1200. I feel like that's way too high.
That's way too high. I'm 100% taking that. Okay. What the heck?
If you want to double down, let's see if I can get this.
Yeah, double down there.
I don't know if they have this. Winning method. Exact.
I can see if I can do it on this real quick.
I don't know. Yeah, these markets work. I will say, though, already by the time we've been talking, Ulberg is up to minus 105. So you're already down to minus 115 already. So the Aussie money coming in.
Hey, Aussies.
All right. Well, we'll see if, I don't know, as we research here, I'm looking at other things. So decision plus 600 for Jiri, plus 550 for Ulberg. There has to be something with the rounds, right?
Dude.
Round four in general is plus 750. I just have the spread for the rounds. That's it.
No, me too. But that is just insane that they are the same. They're the same odds. Round 4 is plus 1200, and Jiri by sub is plus 1200.
Let's see if I can parlay them.
I might just do 2 straights. That's the real one. No parlay this week.
Just put everything you have on Jiri.
Put everything you have on Jiri. Round 4 if you're dub side, and Jiri sub if you're Shane side.
Put them and split on both if you're a fan of this podcast.
Yeah, split on both. Oh, that's actually a good idea.
We only ask for 5% of your winnings, okay? Not too
5% of your winnings, or a shout out on all your social medias.
There we go. All right, well, it was a fun one. We had a quick time going through these. So some people might like that. Some people might like the more analysis, but I'm sure we'll be back with either longer or shorter videos in the future. Before we get done, your best bets. I don't have anything. Actually, I'm going to try something new. So I'll start with mine this time. I think I'm going to go for a round robin of just every pick I like in this card and do it by like 3s or 4s and see how it goes. It might really be like go bad, but I can read out some of my picks. Definitely going to have Jiri in there. Well, obviously the straight of Jiri in the 4th round. That's just a gut shot call that I have to place now that I put it out in the universe. Let's do like Jiri, money line, Murzakanov money line. You know, I think this could work out well. Some overs, some unders. Reyes, Pico, Holland, Gamrot. You get 3 of these together. Suarez, Gastelum, Radtke, you know, other stuff.
Yeah.
Other ones that I mentioned. You get some of these together, linking up, and the odds get really good. So we'll see how this goes, round robin. I don't know if this is going to pan out, but we'll try this out, and I'll report back. So did you make your parlay yet? I know this is probably earlier times we filmed, but you know, it's the double-edged sword of 2 of these fights that we're talking about right now could not even make it to the start line. But
true.
If we're assuming everything's online, what do you got for your best bets for this card?
So I have 2. I have 2 parlays and then 2 straight bets. The 2 straight bets I already went over. Jiri by sub, and then Ribovics by knockout. Now, this little parlay that I have, that this is my much more safe one, the one that I'm more confident in, which is Tatiana Suarez, Kevin Holland, Dominick Reyes.
I like that a lot.
Just those 3. And now the other one, it's a little bit scarier. Ribovics, Cub Swanson, Curtis Blaydes. All right, that one's a little bit
Dangerous.
scary.
That's dangerous. That's
But
one.
that one's all heart. That one's all heart and like $1, maybe $2 max on that little 3-legger. Just for funsies.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, UFC 327 in the book should be a super fun card. Hopefully, going to watch a lot of these fights. You got any big plans for the UFC?
No, at least not right now.
Enjoy the Paramount.
Exactly. The fact that I can listen to the UFC and it's the real stream and I can have my headphones on while I'm watching it, like my headphones are playing it. I don't know. Maybe it's the big A inside me talking, but I just love that.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll be back. Actually, I was going to say White House card, but that's, I think, 2 times from now. We'll definitely be here for Strickland and then White House card. So anything you want to plug, Instagram, Twitch stream, I think you were live in the last couple of days. I saw that.
Yes. Yes, sir. We were live this past weekend.
What's going on over on Twitch?
Over on Twitch, we're still playing some old PS2 games and then also doing some Minecraft speedrunning. So if that interests you, stop on by. Also, because we won't be talking about it till now and then, got to shout out Aljamain Sterling. He's got a fight night against Yusuf Zalal during that time, April 25th. So that is going to be my Super Bowl. He's my favorite fighter, so I always really lock in because he doesn't fight super often. So I'm excited to watch that and hopefully watch my guy catch a dub and maybe fight.
If you're a fan of that, stay tuned for next week. My guy JDM and Prates. That'll be a
true. That's a good fight.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to some banger. Did you watch that video of Dana White just announcing every main card for the next 10 weeks?
It was really God, no! I remember that it was happening or that it was about to happen, and people were like, "Yo, get ready to hop in his live," and I didn't.
It was hilarious.
But I did see
on the couch. He would just say, "Oh, it's gonna be Aljamain versus Zalal," and then Bisping would just completely do all the promotion for him, and then he'd be like, "All right, the next one's Prates versus." He would say nothing.
Oh yes, that stream. Yeah, no, now I know what you're talking about. I saw some of it. Yeah, that was some funny clips.
He got forced to get off his Instagram lives on the couch and do a 15-minute video. Yeah.
Paramount got on his ass.
All right, well, exciting stuff coming in the UFC. Make sure you take Jiri round 4 and Jiri by submission, and we'll talk to you when we're all rich next time. All right, so thanks so much, Shane, for joining. We'll put your links in the description, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.